Hi guys, Dylan here with another game video where today we're back in Minecraft for a video I never thought I was going to make, if I'm being perfectly honest. Welcome to a redstone tutorial. I mean, what the heck? It's been requested a lot by people I know, and I have a comment. So it's kind of just a no-brainer at this point. Anyways, to start off with, I figure I'll go over what can the world can activate redstone. So that means all this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot that can activate redstone. And I'm going to go over all of it. Oh boy. First off, we got the wooden pressure plate. It's a pretty simplistic item. Just stand on it, it'll turn it on. You can even throw an item on it and it'll turn on. So overall, it's a pretty good item, all things considered. And then, of course, there are other types of pressure plates, which... Now, the thing about these ones are, like both of them, is yes, you can still throw items on them, as you can see. And then I could do the same with the gold one. But they produce a really weak signal, so I would stick with stone and wooden. And the only difference between wooden and stone is the fact that one you can throw items on, the other you cannot. So I can stand on this one, but if I try to throw a bit of redstone on it, it won't fall down. So in general, I'd like to stick to wood, but it's up to you. But anyways, let's move on to buttons. They're kind of similar. They'll produce a full-on signal, both. But they only last a moment, so if you look here, it'll turn back off after a moment. So yeah. Levers are like buttons, except they have a bigger hitbox, and they'll turn on as long as you want them to, until you flip them off. So pretty simplistic. These ones are more like traps you'll see around the world, though you can craft them yourself. And to do that, you simply just open the chest. That's all you need to do to turn it on. Opening the chest. Which is why they're mainly used for traps. Let's not get ahead of myself. Now, these I've always found a bit random, but oh, there's a hole in the ceiling. There, fixed. But anyways, so the only use I could see for them being would be with pistons, which we'll go over later. But essentially, they move blocks, so if you were to put a piston here, let's say, and then you activated it, it would push the redstone block downward, and then you'd create a signal that way. And then if you use a sticky piston, you could, of course, retract it back up. But besides that, I've never really found the use for these. Yeah. Anyways, now let's go on to some more of their own things type. Oh. I did not mean to do that. Jeez. Okay, so I fixed the hole in the roof while I was at it. But anyways. These will turn on if there's daylight. And at the moment it's emitting a weak signal, as you can see. That's because I have a bunch of stuff above it. But if I were to take out the roof... Oh no. I thought these produced a stronger signal. No, that's not how this works. Well, I guess it is kind of evening. I don't really know how this works, to be honest. But as far as I know, like if you set it to this setting, nighttime will activate it, and if you set it to this setting, daytime will activate it. So that's the gist of it. And I'm starting to suspect, like, the longer you leave it, so like if it gets to evening when you have it on the daylight setting, this redstone signal will get weaker and weaker. But let's move on from good old daylight sensors. So next up is one of the newer items, is a lectern. Now to use this, you simply place it down, put a book on it. I was under the impression this produced a redstone signal. It's not producing one though. Yeah, I don't know. The wiki said it. It's fairly new, so I don't know much about it. Weird, to say the least. But anyways, next up is the observer. This is an interesting item, to say the least. Now the observer, you wanna... Okay, no, not like that. Come on. There we go. Anyways, the observer will observe things. So if there's like a change in blocks, so as you can see when I place or deplace, it'll produce a redstone signal for a moment. That's all they really do. Besides that, they just kind of stare and look for things to produce a redstone signal with. It just looks for changes in a block state, really. Next is one of the more interesting ones. So if I were to put like this here, put two alongside each other, like so, and grab some good old string, you can usually get this from spiders, and trip it, it'll actually produce a redstone signal, which I've always found these ones quite cool. But yeah, I believe that's everything that produces a redstone signal, besides the redstone torch, which is just place it down and it'll produce it. That's basically it with that. One over the lever. Yep, I think that's everything. Alright, so that's kind of the basis of how to use it. Next up would be things it can interact with, which I have already set up. So you can interact with gates, you can interact with trapdoors, you can interact with a dispenser, which I do have loaded, so let's clear the way. And it can fire things such as arrows. Then you have the sticky piston, which, again, I'll go over these more later, but they're pistons. Sticky pistons will allow a block to come back, so let's just demonstrate that quickly. So you flip that, flip it back, it comes back with it. However, with the regular piston, it'll just remain up there. So, know your pistons, I suppose. Anyways, next up would be the redstone lamp, which is, it just makes a light when you put a redstone signal through it. Pretty basic. Now, this is more useful with things like pressure plates, but lever for demonstration, it can open doors, even regular doors. It actually works with these, interestingly. And actually depends on the setting you put it on. So if I were to like put on a new setting, it would just keep doing that setting forever. Iron doors is where these are more prominent, I've found, because you can only actually open these with a redstone signal. It won't work otherwise. But like I said, it's more useful with pressure plates, just because that way you could just walk in your house, or more likely walk out of your house with them, without having to deal with opening the door. The last one of these is the dropper, which as far as I know just drops items, so it drops a bit of redstone. Mine. Let's shut all these off, stop wasting the power, and head over to the final thing, which is surrounding obsidian, because it's very destructive. TNT, the last thing you can activate with redstone. Let's give it a test. I contained it so it wouldn't destroy anything. I didn't want that. But yeah, those are all the things that can activate TNT. Now for the well, not the final room. There's one more after this, now I'm thinking about it. But it's second to last room. Redstone isn't too complicated. Rails! So first off, you obviously would need a minecart for this. So let's quickly grab one. I think I have caps lock on. That's not the best. But yeah, if you put one on one rail, it's pretty basic. You could get on one. Oh, piston demonstration? Done. Maybe not? No. That's weird. Anyways, so you can kind of just go down the rail, I guess. Then I intended this demonstration to get pushed by a block. That's something that's supposed to happen, but it isn't happening, so, oh well. Fine. Are you gonna work? No? Fine. Then there's the powered rail, which is right here. If you send a redstone signal, it can allow you to go really fast, so good to know about these. But more efficiently, you could use, again, we're gonna try this. No. This one's just flat out broken. But anyways, the activator rail here will power this rail, actually. Which makes it easier and less doohickey-like. So you don't need to put redstone torches along every single block. So you could put it in a line like this, and it'll activate quite a few in front of you, actually. But of course, it only is effective until you're... Basically, if you go off it, it's not the most useful thing. So you can't just do this setup like that. You would need to have multiple of these. So disappointing they can't just do that. But the other thing to note is this is a good time to go over repeaters. So if I head over here, I've actually set these up in different modes. So this one's at the smallest setting, this one's at the longest setting, well, no, longer setting. This one's even longer, and this is the longest. So, the way repeaters work is you can set them up to the settings by clicking them. And when you do this, that sets the delay. So this is 0.1 second, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, you get the idea. So, in theory, these should go off at different moments, and they're all wired to this to demonstrate the fact that if you use one, it won't just power these. That's not all it can do. It can power any redstone signal. So, let's give it a test. If the minecart will work with me. In fact, we're going to start a bit closer just because I like to get this on a rail. But as you can see, the redstone signal takes a while at the end. These are kind of similar, you may have noticed, but besides that, they are different delays, so that's those. Now for the final room I have built. This is kind of like miscellaneous things. So we got some basic things. So now to deal with pistons. You use a piston, it'll push the block. Pretty basic, you could use this with a redstone signal, but I just put levers next to all of them. But then there's slime blocks. You can use this to extend it. So as you can see, it'll come back with ease. So it's like you have another sticky piston attached, except it's a slime block, which is way easier to get. And in this case, if we were to use just a sticky piston, for some reason it doesn't bring the block back. It's weird. But you could do a long line of these. Push it forward, push it back, it'll all come back. So yeah, pretty simplistic. And then another thing I wanted to show, you may have noticed this redstone torch is off. How is that possible? Well, if we head down here, I just closed it. You can actually turn off redstone torches by sending a redstone signal. Please ignore any odd objects you may see down here. Nothing happened. Don't worry. But yeah, if we head down this lift, you can see you can do this basically infinitely. Go as far down as you like. Except don't fall in the void. That's a bad idea. But yeah, let's head back up. Again, ignore everything. Nothing happened down here. What are you talking about? Yeah, if we head up, as you can see, it'll kind of just cycle through. And this is a good way if you wanted to send a redstone signal upward. It's kind of just a mathematical thing. But yeah, that's basically all that you could really use that for. But as you can see, if I break the torch here, this one turns back on. So pretty basic. That's all I really wanted to showcase with that. Now for the last thing. How far a redstone signal goes. Redstone signals travel about 16 blocks before fading out, and then you can basically just stop there. But if we head back here, you can see I have another setup with repeaters. Now with these, of course, this one's not going to turn on because this repeater is one direction. That's the other thing to note about them. They won't light up things around them. So this light is off. But yeah, that could extend you another 16 blocks, essentially doubling your length. Now you could think, okay, just use a long line of repeaters. But then there's that delay I mentioned earlier. It takes a moment. And all these lights don't light up. Not the most efficient thing. So it's best to kind of just set it every 16 blocks and kind of use that, because then you get most of your lights on. But that's all you can really do with redstone in Minecraft as far as I know. I could have missed stuff, given. That's kind of always going to be a thing. But that's all I could really cover, and all I really know. So you could use it to make music, you could use it to push blocks across. I kind of went over everything I know of. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I'm the Deadly Emerald. If you enjoyed this episode of Minecraft, this redstone tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the little bell button, all the good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Have a grand day. This is the most random video I've ever done.